Hey guys, my name is Attorney Walter, if not the third. I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this microphone real quick to get us the best possible sound while we do this live. Excellent, excellent. I hope all is well. I know we're supposed to start normally around what we call 8 p.m. and it's 8:17 p.m. right now. However, we're going to get rolling. First off, though, before we start taking phone calls, and I know there's a lot of people that already started calling in because I tell everybody 8 to 10 p.m. We're going to be going through the fourth stimulus check update. And basically whether or not we're going to be receiving some sort of UBI-based monthly payment or a fourth stimulus update check, such as, for example, $2,000 or, for example, $1,000 a month or something like that, okay? So what we're going to be doing is going through an article that was provided on the web that's very recent. It was published on 7/27/21, so essentially 2 days ago at 6:41 p.m. by Lauren Dubois. It is called The Fourth Stimulus Check Update. Will new checks be deposited because of the Delta variant? Now, there's a lot going on with people out there right now with YouTube channels that talk about the fourth stimulus that are pushing and pumping this news. That essentially, there's going to be a check, right? There's going to be more money because of the Delta variant. Nobody knows if that's true. And here's the thing that you need to watch out for. Number one, you need to watch out and see if they're going to be shutting down the businesses. If they're going to be shutting down businesses, then there's likely going to be some sort of additional stimulus money. There's different ranges before we go through this article that you need to be watching out for. Number one, you have to consider, are they just shutting down certain, industries? Remember how they did that with, closing down, places that had talent, music, places where you go and see shows, right? Then they had a special program for those types of individuals. My point to you guys is this: at the end of the day, and it's incredibly important to realize this, you have to gauge what's happening. Is the Delta variant affecting all the states? Well, no, it's mostly affecting Florida. Is the Delta variant one of those things where it's making people significantly more sick? Well, no, right now we just know that it's significantly more capable of being caught because of the amount of particles that it puts out. So we have to look at, okay, who's really getting affected by it? Is it the people who aren't working? Is it the people who are, who are working and, working a job and pushing forward? Or is it one of those things where we're just not seeing a heavy, pull on the economy? Are the majority of the people being affected by this in blue states, red states, which, and remember, the Democrats have the power here. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is that the Democrats are going to be looking at, okay, well, we want our blue states to do significantly well in all of this. And then the red states, they get a little bit less attention. It's politics. That's how it is. Let's go through this real quick. I want you to understand that this is an article that basically I'm just reading through it so you understand the basics. While we're going through it, I'm going to give you my thoughts and specifically the statistics and metrics related to essentially what's happening with Social Security benefits. All right, here we go. The Delta variant has become the most dominant strain of the COVID-19 in the United States and has led to the mitigation measures once again being put into effect. Okay, so they're talking about the masks. And with fears about the COVID-19 cases and deaths once again, some are wondering if it will lead to new economic downturn and more stimulus checks as a result. Okay, so what we're looking for is economic downturn. Now, we know that recently the Feds just came out and said, we're going to keep interest rates super duper low like they've been, which means we're going to get more hyperinflation. But with that said, you're either going to get hyperinflation or you're going to get basically a recession. So it doesn't, you don't get one without the other. So when you hear people going, oh yeah, hyperinflate, you're either going to get that or the recession. There's no middle ground on that. You could get both. That's the only worst option out of the two. All right, let's keep reading. With many of the programs set in place to provide aid during the pandemic on housing, unemployment, and other areas, they've already expired or set to end soon. So they're talking about that whole moratorium on the rental. And the rise in infections, the need for economic assistance is once again a possibility on the horizon, as fears that the resurgence of the virus will lead to new lockdowns and closed businesses, stalled economic progress, and more lost jobs. So what is the government doing? They're putting a lot of these restrictions on people when it comes to getting the vaccine. If you don't get the vaccine, then you have all these restrictions. If you have the vaccine, you have less restrictions. That's their way of playing the game of, we want you to get the vaccine. Now, keep in mind, the Supreme Court has already come back with a little bit of rulings on these types of things related to this whole COVID situation, where when it comes down to who, what, when, and where is going to happen, they would prefer the legislator to go ahead and figure it out. Nonetheless, when it came to the moratorium for essentially I don't know if you guys know what moratorium means, but it basically means for the whole rental, situation where you don't have to pay your rent over and over. An appeals court level judge basically found that was it's an illegal, essentially, creation. to not or to allow people to not have to pay rent for that period, that the creation of that was incorrect. Supreme Court ruled in another way, though, and they said, look, it's about to end. It's going to become moot shortly. Let's let the legislator figure it out. I want to point out something, too, from a legal standpoint. You are noticing in this time period, in this court season, right, that the Supreme Court, year to year, has become more allowing of the legislatures to carry the burden. What do we mean by that? The House and the Senate. The Supreme Court keeps coming out and saying, you know what? We would prefer that when it comes to this, that essentially the legislators figure it out, because that is the inherent purpose of it. It's not the purpose of the president to come up with this stuff. The president is not there to come up with brand new rules. It is actually the House and the Senate that are supposed to come up with that. And the whole idea is we create an act, a bill, if you will. We submit it to the committees. The committees look at it and they go, okay, maybe, yeah, okay, we're going to change this, use this, whatever. Then it goes up and forward into basically the next step, which is getting it to the floor. And then once it goes to the floor, they make a vote, and it moves from one group to the next group. If you get 2 yays, you go up to the House, the big White House, awesome. And at that point, you're looking for a signature, okay? Everybody knows that, but some people don't. Let's give them a little bit of a background. All right, here we go. A petition calling for either another stimulus check or stabilizing payments of $2,000 a month has continued to grow steam since it was first posted. They're talking about the whole change.org thing. I know some of you guys aren't aware of what change.org is. Change.org is going to become a massive, massive mega website because of all of these things that people want change. And it's like the perfect little setup for people to go ahead and click, 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 I vote up for this. So it's quite a good thing. With more Americans signing it in recent weeks as the variant has continued to circulate. While the administration has not made plans to include a fourth stimulus check in any upcoming economic stimulus proposals, some payments are currently going out to some Americans, okay? While some are still receiving their $1,400 payments from the third stimulus check after filing their 2020 tax returns, others are receiving money from other stimulus initiatives, including money sent to schools and the expanded child tax credits, which we all know is huge now. I haven't done a video on that because all the other groups are doing videos on that. And frankly, I don't need to cover that area. Everybody else is doing it. My expertise is in Social Security, which we're going to go into more with this. However, a fourth stimulus check still remains unlikely as the economic recovery from the pandemic remains strong. The idea of, let's read that one again. However, a fourth stimulus check still remains unlikely as the economic recovery from the pandemic remains strong. Now, I'm going to be coming out with a video in about a day or 2 days or 3 days. Don't quote me. I only work here. But the bottom line is the video goes through how the economy did this, right? Kind of like the gas prices. It did this, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And it's not likely to continue to grow more than that. And I'll wait until the video comes out. But the bottom line is the economy has grown to the place at which it's going to. It's hit a wall, and it is not likely to successfully climb over that wall to go even beyond that, because it has a bunch of issues. And we established those issues in that next video. So just watch. It'll come out tomorrow, the next day. I'm not sure when. I only work here. Here we go. The idea of a fourth check coming due to the concerning variant isn't overly far-fetched. However, as mitigation measures to control the spread of the virus are once again being put into place, the CDC has officially recommended reversal on their May mask mandate change, which allowed unvaccinated Americans to go without masks indoors, right? I was going to offices for a while there without a mask. As you guys know, I mostly work with the chronically homeless. As you guys know, the chronically homeless have a high spread rate when it comes to basically getting COVID. I am vaccinated with the 2 Pfizers. On the second Pfizer, I got so sick I had to go to the hospital. And basically I was in the emergency room, got out of the emergency room. Even though that happened to me, doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. But I will say this, I'd rather that and the outcome of not potentially getting this, really sick potential virus situation, over essentially not having it. I prefer to actually have it, but it's up to you. And it should remain, in my opinion, your choice. That's called America, freedom. All right. So now with two-thirds of the U.S., counties having high or substantial transmissions of the virus because of the Delta variant, which is leading to an increase of breakthrough cases in vaccinated people. The CDC is recommending all Americans in affected areas resume wearing a mask indoors, regardless of vaccination status. According to their data, out of almost 3,000 counties in the U.S., 46% have high transmission of COVID-19, 17% have substantial transmission. One such county is Orange County in Florida, where the Walt Disney World, SeaWorld, and Universal Orlando theme parks are located. Officials there have warned that county hospitals are almost at capacity in the areas in, crisis. So as you guys know, I'm an Orlando, Orange County based attorney mostly. I don't live in that county anymore. I live right next to it. But the bottom line is that's like my stomping ground. That's my home ground. So let's keep going through this. It is unclear if the area will be forced to shut down again due to the spread of the virus, which would also increase the number of people once again put out of work in the highly trafficked tourist area. And think about it. I mean, you got Disney World there. You got Universal. You've got like all this. What's the other one? Fun Spot. I used to go to Fun Spot when I had a soul. It was amazing. All right, let's keep reading. It's unclear if more mitigation measures wind up being needed if lawmakers will push for more funds to be dispersed to Americans as a result, though previous checks did help bring an immediate decline in hardship when they were received. Let's read that one again. That one's important. It's unclear. They're not sure. They don't have any statistical data on it that has been played with yet. Okay, it is unclear if more mitigation measures, giving money to the people, restricting people, with masks and, where you can travel, etc., wind up being needed, so whether we need them, if lawmakers, the people in charge of all this stuff, will push for more funds to be dispersed to Americans as a result. So will giving the people more money make the virus less likely to take over the United States? Though previous checks did help an immediate decline in hardship when they were received, right? So basically you pay people money, they can spend it on food, they live their life, yay. All right, so here's what you need to know. We are right now as a United States with the federal government, seeing the federal government run out of money. And a lot of people do not focus on that particular aspect. And I love to be the Debbie Downer of all the channels that basically will share information. The reality is that, as you know, simple fact, the government is likely to have to shut down in October, so long as they're unable to go, if they can't go ahead and legislate new rules to raise the debt ceiling, find additional money, print coins, whatever. So the problem now is that we have a government who is basically trying to figure out what they can sell, what kind of bonds they're going to buy, what kind of bonds they're going to sell, what's going to happen financially going forward. So that means we've essentially looked at this probably the wrong way. We looked at it originally as what can the government give us? And now we're starting to have to change our viewpoint to what can the government actually afford? And right, so we know that the rates are low, but we know if they create more money, it's going to create more inflation. And, remember, I was wrong originally, but fairly, I was reading an article that published on it. So it wasn't like I was like, hey, remember back in the day, I came out with the information that, talked about specifically, hey, 4.2% COLA, that ain't so bad. Hey, 4.7% COLA, that ain't so bad, but now we're getting someplace. Hey, 5.5% COLA. Hey, 6.2% COLA. Wait a minute. Hey, now we're getting into the higher 6% of the COLA. We might actually reach 7% COLA. We might actually reach 8% COLA. And the kicker with this is that's the cost of living adjustment, which means that this would be, as a crisis, bigger than the meltdown that occurred essentially in 2008, which was the whole financial house thing. They were giving loans to people who shouldn't have been getting loans for their houses. So as a bottom line, this is bigger, and the COLA will be adjusted as such. Now, what does that mean when the COLA goes really high? It means that all of your stuff at the grocery store, each item is going to be significantly more expensive. You can look at 5% or 10% to make the math easy in your head, but imagine if you went and bought essentially toilet paper, cereal, whatever, if you went and bought that stuff and all of a sudden it was 7-8% higher, okay, 5% higher for easy math, 10% higher for easier math. And what you'd automatically start to realize is that your check, whether it's for retirement, Social Security disability benefits, SSI, supplemental security income benefits, your check doesn't cover what you need to buy to survive. So the government is now looking at a problem. The government has to increase the amount of benefits that you receive, right? How much money you get. And that's in the form of a COLA increase. But still, as we all know, the CPI-W, which is what they use as the metric for COLA, is not really giving people the proper increase, the boost, in how much they should be receiving. So the kicker here is that they're looking at potentially passing this new act, and it's been out since 2019. They keep putting it out there. I know other channels will be like, oh, it just came out. Wow. Go look at the history on congress.gov. But the bottom line is this. The CPI-E gives you more of an increase. And that more of an increase builds over time, which means you get significantly more out of your COLA over time, even though a COLA increase is never that much, except for this year. This is going to be, yeah. So, all right. Now, here's the deal. And I have it somewhere. I don't know where it is. I put it somewhere else. Anyway, here's the deal, guys. The bottom line is this. When it comes down to the Social Security Administration, Social Security Administration gets funds from various sources. They have these two mega trust funds, which are their main pull source, the old age and the SSDI. And the bottom line is this. Those trust funds last year were at 2.9 trillion. They are again coming up on this year, 2.9 trillion. Back in 2019, they were around 2.9 trillion. That means they're not growing, which means that 2034 date that they're like, we're going to run out of money. There's a problem. People aren't going to be able to get paid as much as they should be getting paid. 2034 is now looking like a very wrong number. Now that number is going to be changing into the 2020s area. So we're looking at like latter 2020s, maybe mid 2020s, or the worst case scenario. They're going to be coming out with a lot of this information in October, which I'm really excited about to look at, because that's, guys, in October, if you are watching then or watching now or whatever, that's the time to start watching. That's when the financial analytical metrics come out, and we get to see specifically how much of a bleep show this is going to be. And here's what I want to point out to you. There is a what's called Social Security cliff. And I don't know if you guys know what that means. It's where basically we're watching the money coming in for Social Security benefits, right? We're seeing this. We got a little fishy. The fishy is swimming. Life is good. We're hoping it's going up a little bit, but it seems to be stagnating right now. And then all of a sudden, we get to a point and boom, we have a cliff. And that cliff is basically where there's not enough money to be paid out because not enough money was paid in. It is your classic Bernie, or it's your classic, I was going to reference somebody from history, but it's your classic Ponzi scheme problem. I want to point something out because a lot of you guys don't know this. This came up during the week when somebody called me freaking out and they were like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, you can call me on Thursday. That's when I normally do these questions about this stuff. But they snookered me into answering the question, and I want to share it with you, and I think it's important. When you pay into Social Security, your expectation a lot of the times is, okay, cool, I've got an account with them. They're putting it in my account. My account's getting money. I'm good. I'm going to be taken care of. Life is 2 thumbs up. 2 scoops of raisins, good, right? Okay, awesome. That's not how it actually works, though. That's a problem. The way it works is your money goes into these mega funds. We call them super trusts, or we call them mega trusts, or gigantic trusts. That's Sweetie in the background. And what happens is this. Your money gets brought together with this giant mega tanker, boat worth of trust money. And it's not set aside specifically for you, which means that your money goes to pay for the prior generation. And then the next generation, all these kids that are supposedly brilliant, that, are working all these high paying jobs into the future, those kids. Yeah, those kids. Those kids are going to be paying for essentially your benefits. I know. It's a problem. So I just wanted to point out to you, how like your parents made more than you when you looked at what the currency would be worth in comparison based on a timetable, right? I don't think these kids coming up are going to be earning as much. There's a lot of smart kids in there, a lot of YouTubers making a lot of money. They go on and do these things on Amazon. They sell things for above price, whatever. When they're needed, they're making money. They're doing great. There are some of those, but they're not mostly those kids. And the problem is we are relying on that generation to essentially pay for the past generation, which is scary because, unfortunately, at the end of the day, I don't have a lot of faith in the next generation being able to raise enough funds to pay for the mass amount of people that are then going to be needing disability benefits, needing retirement benefits forward. So I just want to point that out. I hope that you guys consider these things going forward. Is it likely that we will get some sort of stimulus? I think it is. I think we will be, but I think it will be limited. And I think the reason why it will be limited is that the government has a money problem. The government, I want to say it again, the government has a big money problem. So when you're sitting back going, they should just be able to make the money, pay the money, yada, yada, yada. Frankly, they're running out of options. I mean, Talib, the politician who came up with the idea of taking 2 platinum coins, having the mint create them, and then having another federal agency go ahead and buy each coin at $1 trillion each. That's like hyperinflation. You know what? You want to know what's faster than printing money? It is having one federal agency endow on another federal agency's created objects worth in the trillions. That's actually faster than printing money. Like if you're wondering, like, how can we do this? Do we use quantum mechanics? Do we magically create things with science? That's what they're doing. They're essentially creating a hyperinflation tactic. All right. There are ways that we could pay for this stuff. Yes, we could tax the rich more. That's part of the whole gig. I'm noticing that those tax tactics are making it into the infrastructure bills, even though they're not attaching to it the benefits that were supposed to be afforded from these additional taxes from the Social Security 2100 Act. So that's a problem. And remember, I was telling you that we have to watch President Biden on this, because we want to go ahead and see higher taxes only if they are tied to all the benefits that we were promised in prior acts that brought them up. So we are seeing a little bit of that we have to be careful about. Do I think we will get some sort of stimulus? Yes. Do I think it'll be UBI format, which is just repetitive monthly payments, probably a smaller payment month after month after month? No, I don't think we're going to be getting that. There's not enough money for that. Okay. Which is ironic too, because the infrastructure deal is putting all this money towards rebuilding America. But what you need to do to rebuild America is you need to make sure the people are working and secure while they're going into work. So it's like this weird, like, did the chicken cross the road, or, no, sorry, was there an egg? Was there a chicken? Which one came first? It's this weird problem that we're seeing. And the problem is that essentially, I don't think the government truly realizes how they're going to fix this massive problem. A lot of people, the Republican mindset is, we need to get people back to work by giving them good tax relief on payroll and options like that so that they want to go back to work. Okay, maybe. The Republican thought pattern is also, we need to go ahead and not do more stimulus monies, because if we starve that money away from the people, then the people will need to go work, right? Because that's the natural logic. It's not a flowery way of putting it, but you're basically starving the people to go back to work. That's what you're essentially doing. You're saying, we can't give you more money during the first pandemic you've experienced in your entire lifetime, so go work to get it. And that's fine. That's their thinking. That's their logic. I'm okay with that. I know how to speak Republican better than most people, but that's what it comes down to. Like, if I think about it, that's what it is. Democrats, the other side. I thought the Democrats, in my opinion, were going to be much more of the promotion to say we should have more stimulus money go towards essentially the people. That's what we were seeing from Warren. That's what we were seeing from Bernie. That's what we had all these letters back in March created by all of these Democrats that were going ahead and submitting it to the president, which is ironic because you don't need the president to create law. You need the senators and the House reps to create law. So it's kind of like weird that these senators were reaching out, like begging, this is why we need it. This is why we need it. But the reality is this, they're the ones that are supposed to create this stuff. And then the president can jump in at any point. So the kicker is this now. They're pushing this whole idea that you would expect the Republicans to push, which is infrastructure, build a better system, nicer offices, better roads, better bridges, blah, 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 blah. If you want to get people back to work, you have to carrot them into it. That's the truth of it. You've gotten them out of work. Now you must carrot them into it. You could try the whip, which is starving them into it. That's an option. That's an option. But it's not as good as the carrot. The carrot is always better than the whip. It is. It's just the bottom line. So I have another video coming out where I examine basically the difference between the carrot system and the whip system for essentially getting a person to go back to doing work in America. And I think that's what they're not addressing, is that basic simple sentence of, how do we get people inspired to go back to want more? Think about that. More. More is basically capitalism. Capitalism is the first system ever created where people can add more by working hard, creating a work product to get more money, right? Unless you're in my field, disability law, that actually works the opposite, which is why I don't make as much as the other attorneys. But the bottom line is this. Yeah, if you work harder in my field, you usually don't make more. You actually make significantly less. But the bottom line here is this. What they have to examine is essentially how to get people on board with the repetitive cycle of wanting to work. And don't ever sell down the river fancy crap that we don't need. A lot of people were buying fancy crap that they did not need. They're getting stimulus checks and they were buying fancy crap that they did not need. A lot of them were, right? A lot of people buying food. That makes sense. But some of them had extra money and they were buying stuff they didn't need. It's that form of capitalism of wanting stuff that's cooler than somebody else's stuff that I can do this thing with that I couldn't do with that other stuff. We have to re-examine how we look at capitalism for small businesses to innovate, because all we're seeing right now is mass, basically carbon copy this store here, carbon copy this store here. and they just sell the junk that they know they can get rid of and make you buy and come back a year later because it broke. I think what this is going to become is a resurgence for a lot of people to create a new form of capitalism in America. That's what I think it is. But in order to do that, you have to get people interested in nice stuff. In order to get people interested in, again, having nice stuff and not being this like, oh, I can't spend any money, right? You have to give them money to spend. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. A couple of things. As you guys know, I have no paid sponsors, but I want to talk about a couple of things. For a while there, I was not bringing up Cheyenne. Well, I brought it up in like the best 6 or 7, live videos, whatever. But I wasn't bringing up Cheyenne because I wanted to check with her and make sure it was okay because, she's new job, new this, new that. I think it's incredibly important, you guys, for you to go check out. And if you get a chance, Positively Cheyenne. I watch her videos. I really like them. It's a new YouTube channel. If you get a chance, go check it out. I really like it. It's a very different way of looking at life. She is a glass overflowing full type of person. It makes you feel great. I am there's been a crack in the glass for years and we still can't figure out how to seal this puppy type of person. Just two opposites of the spectrum. Please go check her out when you get a chance. Positively Cheyenne. And if you get a chance, actually, she's in the chat session right now. Cheyenne, if you can put your channel in there with a little link, I'd appreciate it. That would be super dupe. There's another thing too. I want to point out there's this one group out there that I've started to like really dig into. And I don't know a lot about the nonprofits out there because the nonprofits, they can't advertise like most people. There's this company out there, a nonprofit. It's called the National Academy of Social Insurance. Okay. If you get a chance, go check out the readings. Yes, I will answer this phone. I will answer it. If you get a chance, go check out what they're putting out there. I've read through a couple of their articles. I'm going to be doing a couple of videos on their articles. I really support the ideas that they're coming out with. If you get a chance, go check them out. This is a nonprofit. They're doing a great job. This is a flower that we want to bloom. This is a flower that we want to grow, and we want to pot in different areas around the home because this is something that's a good idea. I have a lot of great ideas that I want to do videos on related to this, so keep an eye out for those as well. Another thing, a lot of you guys have been asking me about family law questions and things related to that. I just want to put to bed something real quick. I don't do family law. I stay away from family law because I'm just not a big fan of having to do it. It's never something I've really enjoyed. If you want to do family law stuff, remember, none of these people are paying me. I recommend you go to Oye Law, beautiful Hawaiian style name, OHYE, and then obviously law. So OHYE Law. It's an Orlando-based family attorney. He does a really great job. He's really kind. He's somebody I went to law school with. He's just an incredibly honest and genuine and beautiful person. If you get a chance, please go check him out for family law stuff because I don't want more questions about it because I have like this much time in the day to get everything done. Another guy that I want to throw out there that I think is doing an amazing job too. So I have this. So I was trying to do too much with the law firm. I was trying to do this and that and this and that. And, I don't have as much funds as I normally do because of what's going on with COVID right now. But basically, I sat back and I was like, the taxes, I got to get that done and this done and that. I used one of those big box programs and I would call them up to ask them questions. And 4 out of 5 times they would get it wrong. So I got used to calling up multiple times to get multiple answers from different people that were working there for IRS tax related questions. And it was sad that they would actually get the answer to it more wrong than right. Anyways, I found this guy. Again, nobody's paying me here. He was a prior IRS agent. Okay. That's like what you want. You want somebody who speaks their language. His name is Jeffrey Taylor. He's a CPA, CMA. He started Allen Taylor CPA to bring partner level service to itty bitty businesses. We're not a huge law firm and he's doing an amazing job working with us. He's basically a guy that's just easy to talk to. And the only reason I'm doing this, guys, is that when I find good people, and there's a lot of people that aren't good, but when I find good people, I'm just going to give you who they are, who I use. They're not paying me. Anyways, for tax stuff, you can 407-969-7618 orjallantaylor@gmail.com. I use him. I think he's awesome. So my recommendation, if you have a tax problem, call him. He'll walk you through it. It's just, none of these people are paying me anything. Now, there's one important one here that especially doesn't pay me but costs me a lot of money. This guy right here, spaceconstitution.com. Whoa, this is a big one, guys. Yeah, so here you go. Here's the nonprofit again. I see that question there. Boom. National Academy of Social Insurance. Really cool group. Go check it out. I'm going to be doing videos on some of their articles and stuff because frankly, they're more in tap with where we need to be, where we need to go with things. All right, so let's go to this. SpaceConstitution.com. It is the first nonprofit to create basically a constitution that will grow and change as a civilization on a foreign planet, such as a Mars colony, a space station, whatever. It's a nonprofit that gives you the first constitutions that will grow as the civilization grows. So we create rights and variations on those rights. And then as things occur within that, colony, that group, that society, additional things will unlock to them that give them additional rights, additional freedoms, etc. It's built to grow for the people. It's incredible. All right. Now, we're going to go ahead and do some phone calls real quick. We'll get rolling with that, keep everything good to go. Now, remember, guys, we can't go super duper duper ridiculously long because I do need sleep. As you can see, I have a lot of degradation on my face from not sleeping and I need a haircut, but thank you for not saying anything about it. We're going to call first person. You guys know how this works. We let it ring. They answer. I tell them question or run hearing questions, and then we go through it. Here we go. Let's see if we can get them on the phone right now. We're on ring 3. I'm a little worried. Ring 4. Oh, God. This always happens. Howdy, good sir. This is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Now, remember to use a fake name throughout this process. Would you like me to go ahead and answer a specific question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions with you?
A specific question.
Excellent, good sir. Go ahead.
Hi, Walter. I just want to thank you for all you do. I was in the construction trade, heavy lifting, for about 30 years, and I have a workman's comp case going. It was wear and tear through workman's comp, or through working through heavy lifting.
Sure.
I'm currently collecting workman's comp and had 2 different surgeries done. One was a 3-level fusion in my neck. Another one is a 2-level fusion in my lower back. I also have problems with my left shoulder, so I started collecting disability. Before I found out about you, I ended up going with a different lawyer, so I kind of wish I would have gone to you because this lawyer is not getting back to me, and I have a few questions about my case.
Sure.
I want to get some clarity on it.
Yeah.
I have neuropathy going through my legs. I have sciatica. I go down in my feet. I have pins and needles in my feet. I can't stand for very long. I can't sit for very long. I have to take breaks and lay down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just wondering about workman's comp and how that works with SSDI.
Oh, okay, cool. So do you mean like the transition to go on to SSDI, or like, do you mean how do they get along? Like, give me a little bit of direction here.
Well, with getting a settlement possibly from workman's comp and also getting my weekly checks, does that have any confrontation or clash with getting SSDI checks if I get accepted? I have a court date coming up over the phone with a judge next month.
Mm-hmm. Which kind of judge?
Just a regular judge. I signed up for the first time, was denied.
Okay.
And then we repealed it, and I was denied again. They wanted me to go to their doctor for a 15-minute visit, which I did, and then I was denied there. So now I'm going to a hearing, over the phone hearing.
Sure. Okay, so what you're having is a telephonic hearing before an administrative law judge at the OHO level, and you're wondering how will essentially, if you are granted SSDI benefits, how will it affect your workers' comp? So yes, workers' comp benefits can reduce your SSDI benefits, whether you're looking at essentially the back pay or continuous forward pay and things like that. What you need to know is that as you go forward with this, your SSDI benefits are essentially a forever thing, whereas your workers' comp benefits are just for a short period. So do you know when your workers' comp benefits are going to end?
I do not. My last day of work was March 15th, 2019.
2019. Okay.
So I've been on it for a couple of years now.
So, I mean, yeah, you're probably coming to the end of the road. What is your workers' comp attorney? Do you have a workers' comp attorney?
No, I'm on my own.
Okay. So kind of the bottom line is you're going to come to a point where the negotiations will start as to potential get rid of you situation for workers' comp. So that's That's coming. You're a couple of years into this thing now, so just be aware at some point you're going to get that phone call. The next thing you need to know is that as you go through the SSDI process, they're going to try and use a part of that as a part of the negotiation as to you receiving that going forward. Also remember that there's usually contractual agreements that vary by state for workers' comp. It does have some federal protections, but every state is different. So what state are you in?
Wisconsin.
Okay, so I'm not going to know much about workers' comp specialty for Wisconsin, but my suggestion is calling a workers' comp attorney in Wisconsin, doing a quick little 30-minute, hey, what do you think, with them, because they'll be able to obviously answer things more specifically to it than a disability attorney. However, let me say this. The standards that are used by workers' comp are not the standards that are used for Social Security disability insurance benefits, your SSDI, your Title II. So the problem that you're running into is that you've gotten a first denial and you're like, what the heck? They gave me workers' comp. You got your second denial. You're like, what the heck? They gave me workers' comp. Now you're going in front of a judge and you're like, I hope.
Right.
My suggestion to you, since you're on the phone, would be to run some hearing questions with me since you have a hearing coming up. When is your hearing?
15th.
Did you say August?
September. September.
How many times have you run hearing questions with your attorney in preparation for this obviously life-changing moment?
Not at all.
Okay. So that's got to be scary. And I think, all right, would you like me to run a couple of questions with you right now?
Sure.
Would you like me to be easy, medium, difficult? What spectrum of the, how would you like me to start?
I would say medium.
Okay. Good, sir. Go ahead. Well, we're going to skip the name. We're going to skip the age, the social, all that stuff. Good, sir. Go ahead and walk me through. Are you left or right-handed?
I'm right.
Okay. Do you live in a house, or what kind of dwelling do you live in?
I live in a house.
Okay. And how many steps into that house?
It's a bi-level, so there's 7 steps up, 7 steps down.
Understood. Do you have any ambulatory devices that you've currently been prescribed, such as, for example, walker, wheelchair, cane, anything at all?
After my back surgery, I had a walker.
Okay, you had a walker. Excellent. Now you said, correct me if I'm wrong, and that's my dog in the corner there. I might have to let her out. You said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you, after your back surgery, and I'm pointing this out specifically because this is a trick thing, after your back surgery, you were prescribed it, but I'm assuming you no longer, after 2019, are utilizing that.
Currently, I'm not using it.
Okay, understood. And when you received a prescription for it, was it for daily use, or was it just as needed as you were healing?
It was as needed after my surgery.
Okay, understood. And can you tell me why, with all these issues now, you do not have a difficult time with walking, such as, for example, how far could you walk without having an issue?
Probably about 15 minutes I could walk. I could endure pain a little bit longer, but after that I'd have to sit down, take a break, or lie down.
So what does that mean? 15 minutes? I mean, walk me through, like, what happens? How far is that? What is 15 minutes?
Well, I would say like a quarter mile, maybe, eighth of a mile. It depends on how fast you walk, but my feet hurt with pins and needles, so sciatica going down my back of my legs into my feet, so it takes time. I have to take time off, breaks.
Okay, understood. Now, just keep in mind for this next answer, give me a little bit of a longer answer because I'm going to put the dog outside. But let me ask you this. When it comes down to, I'm going to be right back. When it comes down to your ability to walk a distance, what do you start feeling on that football field as you approach that full distance? Where do you feel the pain?
It starts in my lower back. I have constant pain in my legs all the time. But the muscles in the back of my legs, they start weakening and ache. My legs start heating up, and my feet turn hot, and I start feeling pins and needles in my feet. I always feel pins and needles in my feet, but it enhances when I walk or stand for a long period of time.
Okay. So I understand that. That sounds pretty bad. Now, you've been having this since 2019, not before that?
It slowly, gradually came on, and I just finally sat down with my employer and let him know that this was happening, and he understood, and he said that he'd contact Workman's Comp for me to get on Workman's Comp.
Do you live on the first floor or the second floor?
It's on the second floor, 7 steps up.
Okay. And so everything you have is essentially on the second floor, the kitchen, the bedroom, everything.
Yes.
Okay. And help me out with understanding this. You can drive with ease, correct?
Say that again?
You can drive with ease, correct? You can still drive places?
It's very hard for me to look in my blind spots, turning my neck back and forth. And I can drive, but I don't feel that it's very safe.
Okay, but to be fair, right, you could, you know what I mean, you could make it to the doctor's office, correct?
Yes, I could make it to the doctor's office, but not for long drives.
Do you think you could drive out of the county?
Probably not. I haven't tried.
Okay, well, what does the long drive mean then? Help me out in distance.
30 miles.
Okay. Okay, understood. So you have difficulty looking around, but still, have you been, has any license restriction been put on you? Have they restricted your ability to drive in any way?
No, I had mentioned it to my doctors, and they haven't said much about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still be going through a functional, what do they call it? A functional capacity evaluation through workman's comp, through physical therapy yet.
Okay. So help me out with this. At the end of the day, I would assume you can do you live alone or with other people?
I live with my girlfriend.
Okay. Okay. So, but you're still able to cook, clean, laundry, correct?
No, she takes care of most of that. I do try to help her out when I can.
Mm-hmm.
The other day I had to cook some chicken wings. After about 25 minutes of standing preparing it, I had to sit down and relax my legs.
Okay. Now, does she work?
She just picked up a job after applying for a bunch of applications, and she finally picked up a part-time job.
Okay, part-time. How does she, do you pay for most of the bills then?
I do.
Okay, understood. So she picked up a part-time job. What happens when she's not there? Then you have to cook and clean, I'm assuming, yourself.
Well, I usually don't do much while she's gone. She's only gone for 6 hours a day, so.
Okay. Help me out with this. When you go buy groceries, do you have any difficulty with that?
We go grocery shopping together. I use the shopping cart to lean on, and I usually push the cart. We usually don't pick up that many groceries, so it doesn't get too heavy on us. It's just the two of us here, so it doesn't get that heavy.
Okay. But you don't have to
usually use the cart.
Okay, I gotcha. So you lean on the cart, and she'll be the one that just kind of puts stuff in?
Right.
Okay. So you could push, a cart full of groceries, correct?
I could, but not for a very long time.
Okay, gotcha. Understood. Why don't you have to use the motorized carts at the grocery store?
All they have is like the little rascals, and they have a small basket in front.
Okay, understood. So you wouldn't need it, correct?
I can push the cart.
Okay, gotcha. Help me out with this. You're able to walk around. You're able to climb stairs without a cane or anything, right? No braces, no special shoes.
No special shoes, but I just got a TENS unit prescribed to me. I'm going to be using a TENS unit on my feet. But for stairs, I use the railings, and I take one step at a time to be careful. It takes some time to get up the steps. Did
any commercial party install in your home grab bars to assist you throughout the home?
There's grab bars in the bathrooms that were here already. And there's a sturdy handrail going up the stairs.
Okay, but no additional grab bars throughout the kitchen, the bedroom, things like that?
No.
Okay, understood. Can you help me out with this? Give me a little bit of a timeline here. You said they started to start. You talked to your employer in 2019, workers' comp, etc. When do you feel that the neck issues became severe?
A few weeks before March 19th of 2019, I couldn't physically do my job anymore. The heavy lifting. I through the last couple of years of my work, I was feeling real achy and tired. my neck and back are really hurting bad.
Mm-hmm.
I was just pushing myself.
Okay, walk me through this. When it comes to, doing things at home, what kind of hobbies do you enjoy?
Well, I used to do leather crafting, and I cannot do that anymore. I can't sit for a lot longer periods of time to do the hobby. But yeah, that's about it for hobbies.
All right, I'm going to start helping you because you're making a lot of mistakes. You're missing an opportunity on this about the hands. You're missing an opportunity about this, about the numbing effect. You're missing an opportunity to talk about basically eye issues with staring at something for an extended period of time due to the pain. You're missing an opportunity to talk about basically, having to constantly change position, not having accuracy to do things because that is an accuracy-based field, especially hand-eye coordination. Let's run it again.
Okay.
Good sir. What's your hobby that you enjoy?
Well, I enjoy leather crafting, but I can't use my hands anymore to punch holes in the leather, and it's hard to see where I'm supposed to make the holes. For stitching with needles, it's hard to see the holes and line up the needles and put the thread in. I can't do it no more. I can't sit for long periods of time. The pain goes down my legs into my feet, and I get pins and needles in my feet sitting down. I gotta lay down after about a half hour to 45 minutes of doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the hobby is no longer.
Okay. So what do you do with your girlfriend? You don't go out on date nights. They get cranky, So what do you do with your girlfriend?
Yeah, she does pull me out of the house once in a while. I
Sure.
wear my back brace when I go out. And we may go out for dinner and then come home.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What kind of dinner do you go to?
Usually it's a burger.
It's a burger. Okay. And do you have a favorite spot that you go to?
Yeah, we go to Culver's once in a while, or there's another fancier restaurant. Sometimes you go to that place.
Okay. How long would you say that you're eating there? Like, you're sitting there having a good time?
Less than an hour.
Less than an hour. Okay. Do you ever go watch movies?
No.
Okay. Do you have Netflix? Do you have Disney Plus, HBO Max?
She has Netflix. I don't watch it much. I watch YouTube most of the time while I lay in bed.
Okay. What's more difficult for you, standing, walking, or sitting?
Walking's the most difficult. Standing in place is probably a second in line, and then sitting would be the third. But all of them pretty much I can't do more than an hour.
Okay. What would be more difficult for you? Buttoning a button, zippering a zipper, pulling on socks, or picking a quarter up off the floor?
Pulling up socks.
Why would that be so difficult?
Well, I tried it just recently today, and it's difficult to bend over to get my hands close to my feet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. You're missing a lot of opportunities to give details. So what I'd like you to work on is basically understanding the symptoms of your impairments. Have you ever sat down and written out your top 5 most severe impairments and then 2 symptoms per impairment?
Yes, I've written down a few things. In fact, I had given them to my lawyer, but he's writing down the wrong top 5. So.
Okay. What would you say?
Yeah.
What would you say your top 5 impairments are?
Well, for one, sciatica and neuropathy going down my legs, back sides of my legs. I have spinal stenosis. I have degenerative disc disease throughout my whole spine, basically. I have a torn rotator cuff in my left shoulder with bursitis and bone spurs. My neck is what I think they call osteoarthritis throughout my neck and spine. Those are probably the top 5.
All right, I'm hearing spine, 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 a little bit of leg stuff, maybe some hand stuff, neck stuff, spine, spine, and spine. Where's the mental?
Mental, well, I'm taking a Lazapram for my anxiety. I have high anxiety.
Okay. Any panic attacks, any aggression, any tired, any, pushing yourself to go ahead and be somebody that you're not?
You kind of broke up there. I didn't hear that.
Any panic attacks, any aggressiveness? People that have pain,
Yes.
they get cranky.
Yes, I've had panic attacks before, especially at night. I take the Xanax at night to help me sleep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm going to start asking you some tough questions. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Good sir, can you tell me what were the types of jobs you've had within the past 15 years?
It was 30 years of heavy construction lifting.
Okay. And is it correct that with a lot of that work, you were basically in the machines operating them?
No, it was lifting heavy materials.
So you were physically lifting the heavy materials onto the machines?
No, not onto the machine. I don't want to say exactly what I did for privacy reasons, but it's heavy material applications.
Okay. So why weren't you using the machines to lift the items to go ahead and do the job instead of you physically having to do it, without saying what the items were?
There are no machines to do the job that I did. It's all manual labor.
Okay. All right. That might get a little dicey in the hearing because they're going to expect you to come out with it. I know we're on YouTube now, but just be aware you might want to have a little bit more detail to it than that, because that's going to.
Yes, I would. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Would,
Good.
yeah.
So good, sir. Let me ask you this: you had the same job for an extended period. You couldn't do it anymore. Look, you don't sound like you're somebody who couldn't do a simpler job. For example, like let's say putting price stickers on items at a store. Could you do that?
Not for an 8-hour shift, no.
Could you do it for a 6-hour shift?
No, not every day. I would be missing days.
Well, what kind of job could you do?
I don't think I could do anything full time.
Now, you've been watching my videos because I know some of these answers are pretty prepped. Is that correct?
I've been watching for quite a while now, yes.
Okay, gotcha. So now let me help you out here. Are there things in the environment that cause your impairments to become more severe, such as, for example, hot, cold, dust, loud sounds, vibrations, bright lights, blinking lights?
No, I wouldn't say. Well, maybe loud sounds once in a while I'd get scared, but no, not really.
Okay. So, and help me understand this. You're taking medications. I'm assuming you've been taking these medications for a while?
Yeah, I also take Lyrica, which gives me real dry mouth. I got to drink lots of water, and I have to take frequent bathroom breaks.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And but how long have you been taking most of these medications? What's the average? Couple of years? A year?
A year.
Okay. So help me out with this, just so I understand better. These medications are effective, correct? Because you've been on them for a year.
They are a little bit effective. I would say they help me about 10%.
Well, if they're so ineffective, why haven't you switched them out?
Switch to what, sir?
Why haven't you switched the medications out if they're not very effective? Like you said, 10% is very ineffective.
My pain management doctor has been trying different drugs on me, and the SSDI drug, SSR drugs, I believe, SSRI, something like that they're called.
I know what you mean.
And, they make me real shaky, and I have brain fog, and I just can't handle the drug.
Okay. So you're still trying to find the right mixture, correct?
I don't think there's going to be a right mixture with that type of drug.
Okay. So the expectation is that you won't find one.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood. How many pain medications have you tried since 2019?
4 different kinds.
Okay. All right. So, a little bit more than one a year. Okay. Gotcha. Help me out with this. Why haven't they gone to surgery options? Well, you said you had 1 surgery on your neck and 2 on your back?
I had a 3-level fusion on my neck and a 2-level fusion on my lower back.
Okay.
And they're going to be looking at my shoulder next.
Okay. So why, look, you're getting these surgeries. Why aren't you capable of doing some work?
Well, I really wish I could. I loved my job. I used to love doing what I did, and I do not have a high school education. I do not have a GED, and I don't think I'd be able to get hired on anywhere else.
Would you be opposed to doing a job where, it didn't require a high school diploma, but, it was more of like a reception-oriented job?
Would they hire me without an education?
Oh, sure. There's lots of jobs that won't hire you with an education and a diploma. There's a lot of jobs out there.
I did not know that. The problem is sitting for periods of time behind a desk. I would not be able to sit for long periods of time. Again, standing up is a problem too. Standing in one place is definitely a problem. So.
Now, let me ask you this. You don't sound like a younger gentleman. You might be getting close to retirement. What's your current age?
52.
Okay, so you still got a ways to go to retirement. All right. Now, help me out with this. Let's say the workers' comp stopped, disability benefits were denied. What do you think you'd do?
I don't know what I'd do. That's why my anxiety is really high.
Okay. And let me ask you this. You said you're working with these anxiety drugs to help you get through things, and I understand that. Are they effective or not really?
They do help me at night sleep a few hours, but I only get about 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night at the most.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, what are the symptoms of your anxiety, considering you're taking medication and it should be getting you pretty good,
Well, my symptoms feel like the walls are closing in on me, and I actually have to go outside and get fresh breath of air. I can't get a full breath of air. It just feels like everything's closing in on me.
Well, okay. So, I mean, how does that affect you in your daily activities? What about travel? Like if you had to take a bus, would you be able to use a bus?
There's no buses by me where I live. I'd have to take a car.
Okay. Can you tell me this? When it comes to the job you used to do, and I know that we can't go into it in detail, but is there any aspect of that business that you might be able to go back into?
No, not without a diploma.
Okay. And can you tell me this? If you had a diploma, if you'd achieved that, right, while this was all going on, do you think you'd want to go back into that industry?
I don't think I'd be able to get a diploma. I had a unrecognizable learning disorder while I was in high school. Comprehension. If I read something, I don't remember it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Let me do a summation on what I'm hearing for all these details. That way you can kind of understand what my brain is hearing. First and foremost, this is a guy who's watched a bunch of videos. And I can tell that you've watched a bunch of videos because you're catching yourself, but you're not smooth at it yet. It doesn't seem like you're ready to answer because you haven't run these questions before. Yeah, and my thing to you would be this. Have somebody go through these questions with you, and then you go ahead and respond to them. Even if you can't get a hold of your current attorney, whatever. The bottom line is have somebody in this stuff with you because it's incredibly important for you to be comfortable with answering these. And you don't feel comfortable yet, which is why you're taking a moment to think about how you're going to answer it. And you're seeing the tricks in them, which is very good, which is excellent. But the problem is you're still second guessing yourself. And I'm going to pick up on that. The judges who do more hearings than I do are going to pick up on that. They're going to pick it up on it instantly. The biggest problems you're going to run into is this whole living on a second floor, this whole not having ambulatory devices to get you from point A to point B. You at no point limited essentially your reaching above your head, which you need to talk about because that's very important here. Something you need to talk about as well more is essentially that whole urination thing, having incontinence, having to go to the bathroom all the time, constantly being off task, etc. There's another thing too, which is that you're up against the wall because in a month you're going to have your hearing, which means that a little bit more than a month, which means that you're kind of stuck with this like, oh my goodness, there's pretty much not much you can change in the record at this point to make or break the claim. So my suggestion here is, and I think it's very important, do you think you would do better, be less of a fall risk, be able to ambulate better if you had a cane?
I think I would, yes. The physical therapist suggested I didn't because I'd be leaning into the cane more often than standing upright.
Right.
And he didn't think that it would be good for my spine to be leaning into a cane like that. He suggested the walker. I mean, I guess I could use the walker all the time if I had to do anything long distance, but it just doesn't seem like it's necessary right now because I'm not doing anything long distance.
Okay. So one of the things that I'd say is this: you're out with this whole situation of using a walker, using a cane, using a crutch, whatever, is that you have shoulder problems. But what you didn't talk about is whether it's a one shoulder or both shoulders. And I'm assuming it's one shoulder. Am I correct?
It is.
Okay.
Correct.
And which shoulder is it? The dominant hand or non-dominant hand?
The non-dominant hand. It's my left shoulder. But my right wrist is also has arthritis in it, and I dislocated it. Some years back, it has a screw holding it together. So my right wrist is kind of jacked up too.
Okay, gotcha. So, I mean, you've got some options there, but then the judge is going to go, okay, all things considered, why aren't you in a wheelchair then?
Well, because I'm stubborn. I run through most of the pain, and I have most of all my years working, and I'm just stubborn, I guess.
Okay, stubborn. Why are you stubborn?
German.
I gotcha. All right, that's fine. A proud individual. But if German and if stubborn, why not the further education to go farther when you were younger?
Well, my dad took me under his wing when we found out that I wasn't graduating, and he took me in and got me in the union, and I went from there. And he just said, "Work your ass off till you're 55, and you'll be able to retire." Well, I almost made it. So.
Okay. And help me out with this. You obviously worked a long time, heavy operation base. Obviously there's a lot of angle iron in this situation. My thing is this: I think you need to have a good answer on why you didn't get further education for the judge. I think you need to have a good answer as to how you're limited getting around the house and doing things. And one of the things I'm worried about too is that, like, when I asked you any difficulty with cooking, cleaning, laundry, your answer was, no, my girlfriend is in, yada, yada. It wasn't about each particular topic. So let's run that one question, and then we'll kind of, we'll go from there. We should be good with the phone call at that point. But here's your final question. Good sir, walk me through this. Do you have any difficulty with cooking, cleaning, doing the laundry, or paying bills?
Yes, I have difficulty with all of them. I can only do any number one of those things about 15 minutes. I have to take a break to lay down or sit down.
Okay, but we want you to address each one of them. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, paying the bills. Hit me with cooking.
Cooking, 15 minutes or more, I would be able to stand in front of the stove. And then I would have to have my girlfriend take over. Again, 15, 20 minutes sitting at a table, cutting up vegetables. And then I would probably have to lay down for my legs to stretch out. Doing laundry, carrying the basket, I couldn't do right now. She would have to carry the basket, but putting the clothes in the washer or in the dryer would be hard. Bending over like that. And what was the other one? Cooking, cleaning?
Laundry, paying bills.
Paying the bills. Most of it's done on my phone, so I can lay in bed and do that. And cleaning, I can't push a vacuum cleaner around. She does most of that work. I could dust. I help dust for a little while, 15, 20 minutes, and that's about it.
Do you have any kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
29.
Do any of them live with you?
No.
So it's only one child?
Yes.
How often do they visit?
Once a month.
Do they help you with things?
Yes, they help me cut grass once in a while if my girlfriend can't cut the grass.
Okay. All right. Hey, I would make sure that you figure out who are the people who help you out to add validity to the statements that you can't do them, Perfect. Good, sir. You are well on your way to being capable of doing this hearing at a very high level. You will know if the hearing is going smoothly because the judge will not be able to counter a lot of the answers that you give. Keep practicing it. Make sure you get that attorney on the phone and get them to go ahead and answer questions and run questions with you. That is crucial that you get used to their asking style. And if you're not happy with that attorney, you can always get another attorney, to work with you. You don't have much time, so you'd have to make the decision rather quickly. But if you can't get your attorney to run questions with you, that is a big problem. And
yes, it is. That's why I called you, Walter.
Well, and here's the thing too. I have a certain style of diction, certain style of breathing, and everybody gets used to that because they watch the videos, they call in, and then they know how I'm going to ask things and they know how to react and interact, and that's good. But if you don't have somebody that you can do that with, then there's going to be a lot of him cutting off you, you cutting off him trying to ask you a question and you not knowing where it's going to go. Like if I ask you a question, all right, let's do a quick example here. If I ask you a question about cooking, what's the next topic you think I'm going to go into?
Probably cleaning.
Cool. So you know ahead of time exactly where this whole thing is going, which is the whole knowing the question and the answer ahead of time. But with your attorney, if you don't work that out ahead of time, you're going to be sitting there second guessing what's coming up. And but remember too, if you're a guy who's sitting there in pain with pain medication, causes fogginess of the brain, you're not going to be able to be quick on your feet. And here's the thing, when you're in that hearing, even though it's telephonic, your brain is not going to function the same way. You're going to be sweating, you're going to be fearful, you're going to be in your chair moving 20 more times than you normally would. It's just very different. And now let me ask you this, do you have a female or a male judge?
Male.
Okay. Now this male judge, what do you know about him?
I don't know anything about him yet. I was going to look him up.
Okay. So you need to know.
Is there a place I can go to look up judges up and what their how many cases they deny and how many cases they accept? Let
me see if there's a newer one, but the one I always use is the disabilityjudges.com for ALJs. Let me see if there's a better one that's popped up. No, it's just disabilityjudges.com. Go there, look up your judge, specifically see, you look it up by state, look him up, see what the percent passage rate is, do a couple searches on his name in Google, get a familiarity, look up the pictures, see what he looks like. If you get familiar with who that person is, it's not going to be a horrific shock the moment they answer the phone. And the first thing they're going to be saying is, "Hi, I'm Judge da-da-da. We're here today to go ahead and yada yada, go through the hearing process." And then now, do you know what the sections of that hearing are going to be like? Part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4?
No.
All right. So this is the last thing we're going to cover because then we're going to do another phone call. But here's the thing. Part 1, very important. That's the intro. You don't have much to do with the intro other than saying you're not recording the conversation. You're in a room by yourself. You do understand that the alleged onset date has probably been changed and that you're okay with that. Other than that, you're going to hear phrases, alleged onset date, AOD. You're going to hear, DLI. You're going to hear Title 2, Title 16. You're going to hear all these acronyms flying around. You're not going to know what it's going to mean. So don't get flustered because Act 1 of this 4-act play is not for you. That's just where you go, I swear to tell the truth. I'm not recording. I'm in a room alone. I understand the alleged onset date, blah, blah, blah. Act 2 is where you're answering all the questions. The stuff that I do all the videos on and preparing you guys, that is Act 2. That's incredibly important. That's where you shine. Act 3 is where the vocational expert comes in. That is basically where you sit back and listen. If you're jumping in, the judge is going to get on you. If the judge wants to ask you a question and wants to have you answer, the judge will specifically ask you a question and expect you to answer. So don't jump in at that point.
Okay.
The final part, the outro. Some judges will say, is there anything that we missed that you want to share? Or at the end of part 2, is there anything with your testimony that we've missed that you want to share? Don't be a hero in that moment, because I've seen more claims lost in that moment than any other moment in hearings. That's where claimants get creative when they should just use the magic idea of being quiet. If you see, if you see an impairment that was completely untouched, that the attorney didn't ask you questions on, the judge didn't ask you questions on, then say, yes, Your Honor, I also have these impairments. But if you want to give a speech about how you've gone through this horrible event and it takes 5 minutes for you to explain it, and everybody's sitting there going, when the heck is this guy going to be done so we can get to the next thing? Don't do that. That just gets them cranky most of the time. You might have a unique story, which might be relevant to that judge in some way, but 99% of the time, it is not. Okay. I had a claimant who had a dog that she loved. Her ex-boyfriend, unfortunately, did horrible things to the dogs and hung the dog before she got home. And as a result of that, she came home to try and save the dog, but the dog was already dead. That was a story that helped change that claim. However, you probably do not have a story that means something to that judge. So just be aware, if you miss something when it comes to giving testimony about an impairment, don't you dare go to that hearing without having a list of impairments in front of you. That's crucial. So if if you want, send it to your attorney ahead of time. That way your attorney's going. Now, I'm going to ask this, then we got to get to the next call. But has your attorney written a brief? Is your attorney expecting to write a brief?
They haven't sent me anything except for that I might have to wait 12 to 18 months to get a hearing, which I already have a hearing. So they don't even know about the hearing. So I sent a letter back to them, stating that I have a hearing on the state and that they should be briefing me on it. Please call me.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard nothing back yet. That was a couple weeks ago already.
That's scary. And I feel bad for you because, I don't. And as disability attorneys, we are accustomed to doing hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing. We're just used to it because that's what we do all day. And to you guys, it means something very different. It means, I've waited all this time. My life depends on this. What I mean? It's like a surgeon going, okay, we're going to do this surgery, but are we paying attention to what we're doing? We might leave something in. We might, I get it. You guys are worried about missing something. And let me tell you something too. Attorneys are better with different judges. One of my grandpas of disability. So I have disability dads and a disability grandpa. And Cheyenne knows this person too. She's the one that's writing in the chat session. But every time I would go have a hearing with my disability grandpa, I would screw it up royally. Nothing would work. My line of questioning, disaster. One time the claimant stared at me and said, well, what do you think? And started to yell at me in the middle of the hearing. And I was like, this can't be happening. What's going on here? I have such smooth hearings with every other judge. What is happening? So I just want to point out to you, some disability attorneys do better with some judges than other judges. It's okay to ask your disability attorney how he does with this judge. I'm assuming he's a local guy, so he must know that local yada yada, the local person that well. If that's the case, ask him these personal questions about how he gets along with that attorney. What seems to be issues that he tends to run into with that attorney. I have judges that I used to fight with back in the day when I was, starting to the law firm. I'd go after them. I'm right about this. Let me tell you a secret about disability law. Disability law is not necessarily about being right. It is about being respectful and proving the person has an inability to go ahead and do realistic work at the lowest levels, while essentially allowing the judge their room to go ahead and adjudicate so that they feel comfortable. Because the moment you start to beat that judge up, and it's supposed to be a non-adversarial system, but boy, have I been I've been in hearings where the entire thing could be easily defined as a war. I will say this to you. The key is you really need to respect the judge and let the judge do their side of things. Of course, it feels adversarial because there's no attorney on behalf of the SSA that's present that is asking these cross-examination or direct examination questions. It's your attorney and the judge. So, of course, it feels adversarial with the person who's supposed to decide this claim because it's like the judge is opposing counsel. But I want to point out to you something. I think it's incredibly important here. When you are going through the process with the judge, be helpful by being knowledgeable.
and be knowledgeable by learning as much as you can, because the more you can give them what they're expecting, the happier the judge is going to be.
Mhm. Yeah, it's hard for me to learn the doctor's names for stuff, but I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna try my best.
Yeah, and you don't have to impress the judge. Remember, that's another thing. A lot of people get, this like, oh, I have to go and memorize these immense names, and the medications have to be perfect, and the milligrams. Blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do that. What the judge is looking for is genuine, honest, direct answers. And you wouldn't believe, but a lot of people, I'd say about 40% of the time, get close to answering the question that was actually asked. When we first started running questions, your answers were all over the damn place. And I was thinking, okay, he didn't really answer that. He kind of got close, but it wasn't. But I was thinking, but wait a minute, there's something going on here. He knows he's pausing when he answers with a word, and then he pauses, and then he continues with a good answer. And that's when I knew you had some training. Just keep working it. You'll get good at it. And remember, when you're in the hearing, have respect for yourself, but allow the judge to do their job.
I will. Yes, I will.
Perfect. Good, sir. Have a wonderful. Yeah.
At the end of the day, then they can goof with my pay with SSDI and workman's comp.
Yeah,
Something's
sure.
gonna happen there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clash.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, like LTD benefits, like for every month that you get back pay, the LTD benefit groups, they suck that money and they take that money. And then there's, the different programs that exist are in place to go ahead and, as an insurance system, they're not there to replace SSDI benefits. SSDI benefits is there to replace those programs, even though your SSDI benefits are likely lower than your workers' comp. It depends. It might be higher, but a lot of people I see, it's usually a little bit lower.
Okay.
And then another thing. Okay, now this is the final thing, because we're kind of running out of time here, and this is incredibly important. Don't screw up your alleged onset date. Do you know what your alleged onset date is?
March 15th, 2019.
Why?
That's the day I stopped working.
Well, okay, so then
I talked to my boss and told him that I can't do my job anymore.
How much did you earn that month?
Well, that year I earned $72,000.
Yeah, but how much did you earn that month?
That month, I was pulling like 4, so it was half a month, probably 2,000.
2,000. Okay, so you were over SGA for that month, which means you can't choose that month, which means your alleged onset.
5 months.
Yeah, so you got to choose the month after that month. But here's a problem: what medically makes that month a good month? The month after you stop working.
What do you mean? What physically disabled me?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're in the medical evidence says that you are disabled. A lot of people are like, well, that's the month after the month I last worked. And I'm sitting there going, that's cool. That means financially you don't violate anything, even though the one you picked did violate it. And right then and there would not work within the Social Security code. So I'm a little worried about you. But, yeah, thank you. Just for everybody else, Cheyenne's doing a great job. I'm watching her answers here. Alleged onset date equals the date you became disabled under the rules and regulations. So, good sir, you tell me, what's the date that you actually became severely impaired?
Well, it was a wear and tear over through the years, and my last day that I could not take it anymore was March 15th, 2019.
All right, that's not a good answer. What medically did you go through that said you were severely impaired?
And I had an MRI done, x-rays. Doctors said that I'm done. Doctors said I couldn't go back to my job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and when did those occur?
Pretty much right after they seen me.
Okay.
I'm in such bad shape, yeah.
What was that, 2020?
2019.
2019. What month?
The month, probably around April, after my MRIs and x-rays and stuff.
Okay. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to choose the month after the last month. You're going to write into a brief specifically what the medical imaging shows that you met the severity requirements. And then you're going to do the month after the last month that you worked because you didn't earn SGA in that month after that last month that you worked. The month you did work, when you did half a month, you basically earned over SGA, which makes you ineligible for that month. And you will not be able to obviously get retroactive benefits back into that time period
because you were earning too much. So now another question. Did you get any special payments from work after that? Any special, settlement, anything at all? Dispensation?
Well, I have a pension, and my pension pays out a disability. They have a temporary disability for 2 years.
Okay.
I had to have one doctor sign that.
Okay.
And then after the temporary disability for 2 years, the next part was having 2 doctors sign a permanent disability, which I could not find 2 doctors to do that for permanent.
Oh, it's hard to hear you. Say it again.
I said for a permanent disability, I had to find 2 doctors to sign paperwork stating that I'm permanently disabled.
Okay. So you have.
I could not.
Yeah.
I could not find that. Yeah.
So you have additional potential income that could be a problem and violate the SSDI parameters. I would start asking questions and going into what months am I ineligible? What month is my first month that I can really get in here? Because it sounds like your alleged onset date was not thought through at this point. You know what I mean? So just work on that. Look, it sounds like a pretty okay claim, but keep in mind, we're all switching over to the new 1.0s. Your claim doesn't count for that because your claim goes way before that. But the judge's mind is now going to be working towards what the new 1.0s are, and the judge is going to be expecting to find a prescribed walker with a seat or some sort of wheelchair. And you don't have either of those. So, just think about that, But good, sir, you have done exceptionally well. I will catch you a little bit later. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Walter.
Thank you, good sir. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys, so real quick, I just want to do a quick summary of that. That was an example of an individual that has a really good claim. But there were like the classic little building blocks, the basic blocks, the blocks I talk about in the very beginning of claims that were missing. They were devoid of the situation. What's interesting, and I just want to point this out because I don't usually talk about this, but in the 1.0s in their discussion area, they usually talk about failed surgeries. And they're usually looking for 3 failed surgeries, which is like medical malpractice land for a lot of that stuff. And what's interesting is that he's got 2 surgeries, one area, another surgery, another area. What's happening is we didn't go into why a lot of these surgeries were not able to go ahead and fix these issues. And I think that's an area that needs further development with questioning in the hearing. If you go into why these surgeries were not successful, it helps explain medically and also the symptoms that he's having as a result of it, why he's not able to do these functional tasks. Because when you say, hey, I've got this impairment, a lot of the judges know, well, that impairment can be fixed, especially when surgery is involved. But when you've got surgeries that didn't work, why aren't you getting further surgery? What happened with that surgery? Is further surgery going to be useful? What is the doctor telling you currently? Did you get a second opinion? All these things start to pop up, okay, that are really, really good questions. All right, so I'm going to try and call the next person on here that I did miss real quick. Actually, you know what? They called a while ago. So let's put this. I'm going to do one more phone call, and I'm just going to open it up to everybody in case anybody wants to call in because they haven't called me back in a while. I know I was on that phone call for a while, so they might not pick up. I'm going to put that in there. If you guys want to call me, that's fine. If not, we'll probably end tonight a little bit earlier because that gives me time to go to the post office and mail a bunch of stuff off. Also, and I forgot to do this. If you have questions, Cheyenne, you can always call. If you have questions, please put it into the chat session right there, and I'll answer them while I'm waiting for somebody to call. I'll give it about 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes of answering questions, then I'll probably go ahead and pop off because I do have to go to the USPS and mail a bunch of stuff off, because remember, we're in COVID times. Pre-COVID times, I had somebody that mailed stuff for me. All right, let's see what we got. 4 R's. I had carpal tunnel surgery on both hands, still feel numb. Sure, excellent. Make sure you get some sort of braces and make sure you get further medical treatment that shows you have an inability to hold pencils, buttons, or zippers. Amy, HOSP, hi, still waiting to hear back from SSI to get a much needed appointment. What do I need to say to get an appointment? I have inherited money. We spoke a few Thursdays ago. I'm trying to stop SSI. Oh, sure. Okay. So so you're just looking to get an appointment to go ahead and describe. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you have it. It's okay. Amy, the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and make sure that you notify them in writing. So you're going to want to make up a writing, make a letter, and then you're going to want to go ahead and mail 2 of those. One to the SSA, that is basically, going directly to them, and then one to yourself. That way you can have an example of something that you open up down the line in case you're in front of them or need to use in front of a judge to show that, hey, I mailed this to them at the same time. This is the one that came back to me. This is the one that went to them. Or if you go ahead and fax it to them, if you find somebody that has, a fax number, or like us, we have an admin fax, then they can go ahead and show what the fax was, the fax receipt with the actual document. Or if you have access to, there's some ways that you can actually upload the document digitally into their system. I don't know if you're going to have access to that though. So you want to make sure that you put them on notice, and then in that notice, you request to go ahead and have a meeting. That way, basically, you put them on notice. So anything that happens beyond that point, you are not liable, because you made notice to them that this is what's occurring, you have inheritance, and that you are requesting to go ahead and have the services of the SSA to discuss that and go through the details related to it. That way, you're basically ensuring that they're aware that you made notice. Even if they don't have time right now, you put them on notice. All right. Let's see. Matt Fritzen, any new info on the SSDI or Social Security DS Belby's increase? Oh, disabilities increase. Okay. So, yes, the $200 monthly increase is not being talked about at all, which is kind of odd because the Democratic senators were pushing that. And then all of a sudden Biden went with his infrastructure deal, and now they all kind of fell off the face of the earth, which is the truth. Democrats are really, really good at all kind of clumping together and going in the same direction. Republicans are not good at that at all. They are terrible at that. Republicans are like over here and over here and over here. So, but Democrats great at going one direction. Republicans are always, not that they're bad directions that the Republicans want to go in, but sometimes it does hurt them a little bit. Let's see. Supernova spine surgery, although technically successful, creates complications like epidural fibrosis. Okay, it's not a question. Let's see. Michael Murphy. Can I get Medicaid on SSDI under MEGI if I have over $2,000 in cash assets? Yeah, SSDI doesn't really care too much about that $2,000 asset limit like SSI. SSI has that $2,000 asset limit that they're trying to get rid of in the SSI Restoration Act, which will bounce that from $2,000 limitation up to $10,000 limitation. But SSDI, none of that poverty-based restriction stuff has anything to do with it. I'm just looking for questions. Hey, don't pick up on at Marv. I'm not sure what that is. Is rheumatoid arthritis considered a disability? Yes, it's just got to be severe enough, and it's got to be, markedly severe. So are we getting a stimulus check? No. As of right now, the Democrats are not proposing a stimulus check, which is kind of where it comes from. And then the Republicans, hop on board. But the bottom line is that no, as of right now, there's no repetitive $1,000 per month, no $200 increase, no $2,000 stimulus, or even lower stimulus that's in communication. In fact, the entire promotion of the idea of the infrastructure bill, which keeps changing a lot, daily, is to get people back to work. It has nothing to do with essentially giving people stimulus money, which is not good. Okay, I'm just scrolling to the bottom to try and catch up with these. I get it as a science, so I say trying to, so like, okay, gotcha. Even though I've been told over and over, I get it for you. All right, I'm a little Kimberly Smith. Give me more details on that. Carla Fox, at appeals hearing, the judge told the vocational expert that he didn't need her to testify. I was approved for disability based on medical mental. I got back pay for 4.5 years. Wow, that's really, really good. It's tough to get that much back pay nowadays, but you must have been waiting a pretty long time or had all full retroactive benefits applied. Chris H., best state lived on SSI be Alaska, get $1,300 a month. Actually, so Alaska is one of the lowest percent passage rate states for disability benefits. So it's good benefits there, but it's really hard to get benefits there. So that's kind of one of the, like Hawaii, it's really easy to get benefits, and benefits are, pretty decent. But Alaska is really hard to get benefits, although they do give supplementals. We're not putting for again. Blah, blah, blah. Hi, sir. Oh, wait, let me go back. I think they will add at least a stimulus just before they vote on it, like the last two times. Yeah, Darren Clift, I personally believe they're going to give a stimulus, but they're going to dangle the idea, and then it's going to be included in the bill. Because remember, to give everybody stimulus money it's not that many trillions in dollars compared to the infrastructure bill, which is like, they're talking like, $1 trillion for this, and it adds up to $4 trillion. It's a lot of money to rebuild America. But it is interesting, usually when, and I'm not saying this, but usually when a company doesn't have a lot of money, usually when a company is trying to get things going again, they use what they have.
they don't buy everybody new toys. You know what I mean? Not everybody gets new bridges, new trucks, new, buildings, new offices, new phone systems. Not everybody gets that. You use what you have to push forward and make it happen. But, look, I'm not a politician. I'm not going to go into that. Can you take at Thomas or call? Yeah, if you guys want me to do one more call, that's fine. I'll do one more call. Although we are getting close to 10 p.m. Trouble with green card and can't do paperwork. Yeah. So if you're having a difficult time with paperwork, you can always reach out to me and I'll try to help you out with any questions you have on it. Unless it's like you can't read it or you're not able to understand the basic questions, then you got to have somebody with you there where I can explain it to them. Hope I get it worked out. Okay, so they are sending me for a depression assessment before they make the decision. Okay, cool. So you're going to a mental CE. That's good. If I receive his name, my condition worse, including returning to this, then please email him. At least he may be able to answer yours there. Okay, cool. What about the new COVID-19 long hauling disability? Is that for real? I'm going to be doing a video on that, the COVID-19 long hauling disability details. I've seen stuff on that. I'll do a video on it. I printed a few things out there on the stack over there of ideas for videos. I just keep in mind, guys, this is not my real job. My real job is the law firm. And I just do this as like, I'm trying to help people, way back in the day, it wasn't like this. It was, I would go around and give seminars at local churches, local libraries. We almost forgot the name of those because the libraries are totally different now. It's like, there's computers all over the place and books are a very small part. And it's like a lot of DVDs. Libraries are very different now. But so when I think of the library, I'm like, that doesn't exist anymore, but it does. It's very different. Walter did one on the fourth stimulus. Yeah. So, I mean, I keep doing stimulus videos, but I'm trying to be realistic. I know the other channels, Blind to Billionaire, Ellie Late, they keep promoting and pushing that, this is going to happen. Yeah, it probably will happen. But, I like to give you guys kind of the more, here's the financial data, here's the issue, here's the good stuff, here's where we'll probably go. I like to give you a little bit more meat with it. Okay, guys, can going to college get up SSI taken? So if you go to college, the moment you graduate from college, it triggers a CDR, which is a continuing disability review. So Kimberly Smith, Madame, just keep in mind when you graduate, they're going to go ahead and do a CDR to see if you're still disabled under the rules and regulations. So while you're in college, make sure you utilize their IEP stuff. Can you go on the next show? It's a fun case. Here, we'll do this. We'll do one more call. Yeah. Bottom line is Kimberly Smith, make sure you utilize all the things that essentially, sorry, I just missed a bunch of phone calls. All right, let me do this one real quick. We're gonna do this one real quick, and then we'll end the show. But here we go, guys. It's ringing, and just remember, Kimberly, go to the administrative group, ask for specialty accommodations for your impairments, ask for certification under the ADA for extra time, etc. And hold on, I got another person calling in and another person calling on top of that. Let me see if this first person calls through, and then we'll go from there. Okay, that person an answer and an answer. Here we go. Hi, this is Attorney Walter Knott. We are live on YouTube. Would you like me to go ahead and answer a question, or would you like me to go ahead and run hearing questions? And keep in mind, make sure you use a fake name. We are going on the speaker right about now. How are you doing?
Well, I know you don't have much time, and I was watching, but I must be behind on you.
No worries. What can I help you with, though?
Well, my situation's really a weird one. To start out, my husband passed in 2007.
Okay.
I got disability from kind of losing my mind after that.
Okay. What are the impairments? Yeah, what are the mental impairments that happened with it?
What was it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, what was it?
What are the impairments that you have from that? It sounds like PTSD. It sounds like some depression. It sounds like some anxiety.
All of it. I don't know about PTSD because I don't know what that is, but I got it for depression and anxiety and
sure.
So forth. But I got it for about 5 years, I guess, they gave it to me. And then they came through and did another assessment. And when they did the other assessment, I just went as the administrative law judge. Tried to find attorneys, and I couldn't find any to take my case. It was a really messed up time. I had some bad physicians, and I wasn't getting the answers that I needed. So I kind of fired my panel and was starting over, and then they popped that on me. So I didn't have a really good base of physicians that knew my history. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so anyway, when I did that, then they threw this on me, and then I started looking for attorneys, and because I had disability and they actually physically took it before I went before the administrative law judge, nobody would handle the case because I'd already been approved and they were ending it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. They didn't have a way to get paid. I
signed the paper stating that if they took my check, that if they were going to end my disability, that I would pay back the money that they would give me if I continued to get the money until the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it was supposed to be a 3 or 4 month thing. Well, it was one thing after another, and I kept calling him and asking him, you know, what'd they find out? Nobody knew anything. The judge did this, that, the other. And a lot of the attorneys that I had wouldn't go up against that judge. I don't know why, but they did not like that judge. But anyway, I received payment for about 1.5 years. I was getting a little under, I think, $700 a month. Anyway, I'd gotten the $700 a month for like 1.5 years before it was all done and said. And so now I owe them $10,000 back. So now nobody will take me now, and I haven't been able to get anywhere.
Okay, so, all right. Give me a legal question that you want me to specifically answer for what you're running into, the problem in your situation.
Well, finding an attorney that would take me because I owe that back amount. They said, well, if they get paid on the back amount that they would owe me, there wouldn't be anything left for them to take.
So just to make clear, were you receiving benefits? I'm assuming this is what happened, right? They were going to take away your benefits, and they basically, you're going through this process to go in front of a judge, and essentially because you're still receiving benefits, the attorney is not able to get back pay from that time that you were waiting to go to your hearing because you're still receiving those benefits.
Right. So now I owe them $10,000 because I received it for 1.5 years. And that's been 10 years ago, and I haven't worked since after my husband died. And we were married 26 plus years. And now he's been dead more than 7 years, so I can't get benefits on him. And I don't have a work history for myself because I haven't worked. I tried working. I worked for a while in a factory. And my back, I ended up having I had 2 bulging discs prior, and then 1 herniated. And I'm allergic to the medicine that they can give you for the injections to make it easier. And so nothing works for me that way. And I have a very low tolerance for standing on concrete for like 10 minutes back.
So you went through the process, they kicked you off of benefits. You now have an overpayment as a result of receiving benefits all that time that they say you weren't disabled, and now you're having to find an attorney. Do you have a hearing coming up, or did you reapply? What happened?
I reapplied, and because I don't have a work history, I would only be entitled to SSI. And this is what the paper said from SSI. You're disabled. How they put it? I'm disabled with limitation. I'm disabled with limitation, but because of the state I live in, I would be entitled to it. But I own a little piece of a plot of land, and taxes on it says that it's worth $3,036, something like that, and you're only allowed to have $3,000 in assets. So because of that $36, I don't get anything.
Okay. Let's do this.
And now I'd have to start all over again, she said, because I said, well, what if I sold that land? She said, well, it's too late now. You have to start all over.
Yeah, I mean, you're running into a problem. Well, you're allowed to have one living, piece of land. So.
But no, I don't live on it. It's just a bare piece of ground is all it is on a little hick town in the middle of Nowhereville.
All right. So here's the deal. Call me tomorrow. We'll work on this. Keep in mind, I'm going to be super busy working on something tomorrow that has to be mailed out on Saturday. But just call me tomorrow. And bottom line is we will basically go ahead and work on getting this rolling. That way you're good to go with everything, and you should be okay. But either way, just give me a call tomorrow, and we'll go through that. Madame, have a wonderful night. And don't fret. There is a world at the end of this, but please do go get because it sounds you still have an overpayment, correct?
But is this?
Oh, you there? Okay.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
I had a payment of what?
Do you still have an over?
Yes.
Okay.
I have an overpayment. Just denied me. I want to say it was the February that COVID started, that March, so it was last year.
Okay. Give me a call tomorrow. We'll talk about the overpayment. We'll go through the claim that you've currently filed to go ahead and receive benefits again and kind of get you rolling in the right direction. All right?
All right. What time would you want me to call?
Oh, anytime. Because if I get the phone call, I get it. If I don't, I'll just call you back later in the day. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. Madame, I will catch you.
Well,
Yeah.
you have a great night. Thank you.
You too. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, guys. So we've reached that magical time when it's 10 o'clock. Keep in mind, we had a really, really good show tonight, and I hope you guys learned stuff from this. I hope that you've had an opportunity to kind of create new questions based on things you've learned. Have an absolutely wonderful night. If you do want to learn more information, remember, catch up with me. If it's law firm stuff, you can always call a law firm. But if it's like YouTube stuff, when we're getting stimulus benefits, please catch up with me during this time, Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, 8 to 10 p.m. live on YouTube. I've got to go get Sweetie out there. She's begun crying and whining and bitching because apparently swimming around the pool wasn't fun enough. Have a wonderful night, and I'll catch you later. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.